Former President Donald J. Trump lost Michigan by 154,188 votes in 2020. It did not stop the former president from targeting the state alongside the likes of Georgia, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Nevada. These claims were false, and the defendant knew that they were false.
And I have to say, if I lost, I'd be a very gracious loser. If I lost, I would say I lost, and I'd go to Florida, and I'd take it easy, and I'd go around, and I'd say I did a good job. But you can't ever accept when they steal and rig and rob. Can't accept.
The indictment reads Trump repeated and widely disseminated them anyway, to make his knowingly false claims appear legitimate, create an intense atmosphere of mistrust and anger, and erode public faith in the administration of the election. With respect to Michigan, Trump explicitly targeted Detroit in the days following the election.
Hey, Kristen, meanwhile, overnight in Michigan, there seems to be this back and forth over certifying election results in a major county there. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, Craig, it was a dramatic night in Michigan. Here's what happened. 2 Republican county officials in Michigan's largest county, which includes Detroit, refused to certify the election results in that county. 2 Republican county officials, and that prompted a backlash from voters who accused those officials of essentially trying to disenfranchise them. So the Republican officials reversed course by the end of the night, just a short time after their initial move. So those results are going to be certified. They are going to move forward. But President Trump was watching all of this. He was tweeting. He called the stalemate a, quote, beautiful thing. Michigan's Secretary of State, a Democrat, though, said there were no irregularities and no evidence of widespread fraud. So essentially debunking the initial reason that those Republican county officials were blocking the results in the first place. Bottom line here, Craig, even if that stalemate had continued in that county, it's very unlikely it would have reversed the results of Michigan, a state that President-elect Biden won by more than 148,000 votes. Craig.
At one point claiming a suspicious vote dump had occurred without evidence, he continued to push allegations of fraud in the city in the run-up to January 6.
You talked to, 340 election officials across these states. What were you trying to find out?
Heading into the November 3rd election, we were certainly aware about various statements being made about voter fraud. And we were also aware that academic studies had shown that it was exceptionally rare. But once November 3rd happened and we saw everything that happened since, we decided at the AP that we wanted to go to the source. We wanted to look for the voter fraud, and we wanted to identify what voter fraud had occurred, what potential voter fraud had occurred in the November 3rd election. And so we embarked on this reporting effort that involved reporters in 6 states, the 6 states that were disputed by President Trump and his allies. And we went to the local election officials and we asked them to identify for us any potential instances of voter fraud that they had flagged during their post-election certification and canvassing work.
And what did you find?
Well, in the end, we found it was just shy of 475 potential cases of voter fraud in those 6 states, which would not have made a difference in the outcome of the 2020 presidential election.
And this was out of millions of votes cast, if you add up all the votes in those states. Christina, tell us, just give us a couple of examples of the fraud that you did find, those individual cases.
Sure. I mean, they ran the gamut. You had individuals like a gentleman from Wisconsin who was a felon, and he did not understand or did not know. He said that he thought he was eligible to vote, and so he voted. And it turns out, Wisconsin is not one of those states that have loosened laws for felon voting. So there was that instance. We had had a woman in Maricopa County who has been charged. Authorities say that she submitted a ballot on behalf of her mother, who had died about a month before the election. And, there were other instances of people who had submitted mail ballots. Either they had mailed them or dropped them off. And those ballots showed up after they had voted in person, whether in early voting or on election day.
And we know that former President Trump, the people who support him, continue to push this notion of massive voter fraud, despite all evidence to the contrary. And you spoke to the former president. What did he say?
Well, the president definitely spoke about his concerns about the pandemic-related changes and how there was such an increase in mail ballots, and his belief that those are less secure. But speaking with election officials, they stand by their protocols and their procedures in place. And there are numerous procedures, protocols in place, guardrails, to ensure that every ballot is accounted for. Mail ballots that are sent out, they are logged. Every mail ballot that is returned is logged. They go through various security checks in a number of states. They conduct signature verification. So when those ballots come in, they're looking at the signatures, and every time a voter has had contact with their election office, whether it's signing a petition, requesting a ballot application, submitting a ballot, those signatures are on file and they're kept on file. And so when those ballots come in, they're reviewed, they look at those signatures, and if there's a discrepancy, they flag it. They contact the voters, they say, hey, there is an issue here, you need to come in and prove that this is your ballot. And if that person doesn't come in, that ballot is discarded.
At one point even falsely claiming via Twitter there were far more votes than people in Detroit. Former U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr attempted to explain to Trump there was no indication of fraud in Detroit. As noted in the indictment though, his reassurances went ignored. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel announced felony charges against 16 Michigan residents for their role in the alleged false electors scheme following the 2020 U.S. presidential election. The charged defendants are Kathy Burton, 70, of Snover, William Hank Choate, 72, of Cement City, Amy Facinello, 55, of Grand Blanc, Clifford Frost, 75, of Warren, Stanley Hurrott, 71, of Shelby Township, John Haggard, 82, of Charlevoix, Marianne Henry, 65, of Brighton, Timothy King, 56, of Ypsilanti, Michelle Lundgren, 73, of Detroit, Meshon Maddock, 55, of Milford, James Renner, 76, of Lansing, Myra Rodriguez, 64, of Grosse Pointe Farms, Rose Rook, 81, of Paw Paw, Marion Sheridan, 69, of West Bloomfield, Ken Thompson, 68, of Orleans, Kent Vanderwood, 69, of Wyoming. Attorney General Dana Nessel, why haven't Donald Trump has been indicted in Michigan? Happened just now. Enjoy hearing your thoughts. Please leave comments. Thanks. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Happen Just Now for more content about accountability of all public officials and policy and procedures.